Yeah, there's one. Yeah, it only said a tick mark. That's all.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. I wasn't able to see that on my side. I thought it would give you the right answers. Are there any of the questions that you want some clarification on before taking that test?
I wanted about the guitar one.
The guitar one? Okay, well, let's review how a guitar makes sound. Saisanab, could you tell us how a guitar makes sound thinking about the air particles moving?
So like a guitar makes sound like by vibrating, and if you pluck a guitar really hard, you're having more pressure on your body, which makes your body high pressure. And then when you pluck it like really low, like if you're whispering, it makes low pressure.
So yeah, you could relate it to your voice. That's a great way to think about it, Saisanov, with having high pressure for your voice or low pressure for loud or soft sounds. For a guitar, you're plucking a string and it's shifting those air particles over, and that vibration is what causes the sounds as the air particles are moving. So every time you pluck those strings, it's moving the air particles and sound waves occur.
And Miss Gardner, I got another sentence, which is like a compression. Wherever we like pluck a string, there's a lot more compression and more air particles there more than where we don't.
Yes, very good. You will need to talk about the compression, so that's a good thing to mention. Remember that for a sound wave like this, that is a sound wave based off of the compression that's happening. And the compression is when all of the air particles get smushed together. You guys remember that? So you would talk about compression with the air particles getting smushed together. Any other questions? And for that guitar question, it's not going to be the same answer for everybody. So just explain what that's like, and that question or the words of compression and air particles and vibrations, just use that to guide your answer. That's to help you to understand what sort of things you should be talking about as far as how a guitar makes sound. Does that make sense? Tricia?
You need to use all the words?
It would be best to use all the words, yes. That should guide your answer.
Because I thought I could use some different words, and because in my other, that review, in the review, I didn't use all the words. I missed one word.
Okay. Well, on the test, try to incorporate all of those words to have a good, strong answer. So for science, you can maybe do some practice answers of that guitar question. If you feel like, I know all of the others, I don't really need to study those, maybe you just need to practice that question about the guitar. But if there's any other of those questions that you're not sure about, use your notes to review what each of the parts of sound are based off of what we've written over the last week and a half in your notes. In history for today, you had an extra video to watch on John Cabot and Henry Hudson. How many of you watched that? Great. If so, you'd know there's just a little bit of extra information from what you learned before, and we're doing the practice of writing the 3 types of sentences with that assignment. So you'll write at least 3 sentences, one of each type about John Cabot, and then the same with Henry Hudson. And did anybody even use what you wrote in your binder to just write in your response? You certainly could do that. I told my 8:30 class that as well, that you could just use the same answer if you already wrote about John Cabot or Henry Hudson.
I did.
Trish?
I
Also, in Henry Hudson, I actually put a sentence that has compound and complex.
Wow.
So just like I did a simple and then a compound and then I did a compound complex. So is that okay, or do I need one complex?
Nope, that is even better. Yeah, a compound complex has 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause.
And also, like when I write it, like after a simple sentence, should I put a period and then go like press enter and write the next one under the simple sentence?
No, you don't have to put them, you don't have to press enter. You can just immediately go into the next sentence,
Okay.
like a paragraph. Another question from Marima about that one?
It's actually a different question. You said in 1906 they finally used the Northwest Passage. Did they use
That's according to my book. What's that?
Oh. Did they use cruisers or like those galleon thingies?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure what kind of ship they used. If you figure it out, you can let us know tomorrow if you do some extra research on it and figure out how they were actually able to navigate through the Northwest Passage eventually. Okay, boys and girls, your last assignment that was on Bright Thinker for literature, it was about Independence Day celebration. The Wilder family goes to the town of Malone, where they go to church and where Frank lives, and they have a nice celebration. Wouldn't you all like to have an Independence Day like that? That sounded really fun and very patriotic. It made him feel like, I am proud to be American. And it was a nice little lesson on the value of money. Do you think that he made a good decision with the money he got? I think so. And we are not going to see the end of that. That's going to come up again later in the story. That money that he was going to spend, and what was he going to spend it on? Devansh?
He was going to buy a pig.
That's right. And if the pig has some piglets, he could sell them and make some money, maybe more money than he spent on the pig. That's a good deal.
His dad said $3 or $4.
Yeah. Devansh, did you have a question as well? Because you had your hand up earlier as well.
No, I forgot what it was.
Okay. Well, boys and girls, I see quite a few hands up, but let's put them down for now. We might get to some more questions later. And at this point, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance and school motto. Could I have Shatij lead us in the pledge and school motto?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll honor good things with the good, true, and beautiful. Respect. I'll show respect to others at all times. Service. I'll do the things for others without being excellent. I will strive for excellence in all things. Perseverance. I will fill commitment and not give up or act on discouragement.
Thanks. Please join me for a moment of silence, boys and girls. Okay, boys and girls, well, let's start on phonograms and spelling review. I also forgot to mention, but the history notes are already available for you to do on Bright Thinker. That's tomorrow's history assignment. So if you want to get a head start so that you don't have history tomorrow, you can do that. Okay, for phonograms, let's begin with the phonogram two-letter like writing. Two-letter Shatij, can you write the phonogram, please? Great job, Devansh. By the way, Nethra's not joining us today because she was in the 8:30 class. She had an appointment. So we do have everybody attending. Here's two-letter Arjun, can you try saying that for us?
Two-letter
Good. Can you try putting your tongue at the back of your bottom teeth and go Yep, you got it. That's how it changes it from an sound to just the sound. Okay, next up, boys and girls, please write the phonogram N, two-letter N, used both at the beginning and end of a base word. Tricia, could you unmute yourself and say this one for us?
What, me?
Yes.
Okay. N, two-letter N, used both at the beginning and end of a base word.
Great job. Next, let's do N, two-letter N, used only at the beginning of a base word. Should look like this. Ahana, would you unmute yourself and say the phonogram for us? Can you say N, two-letter N, used only at the beginning of a base word?
Two-letter N, used at the beginning of a base word.
Good job. Let's do one more. G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. It should look like this. Adarsh, would you unmute yourself and say the phonogram?
G.
Can you try G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel?
G. Two-letter G. Always followed by a vowel.
Great job. Okay, let's use that to transition over to some spelling words to review. The first one is guarantee, which uses that G, two-letter G phonogram.
I'm practicing my words.
Very good, Saisanov.
Miss Ghana, for G, I go the same word, guarantee.
Oh, that works out well. Guarantee. Check that your spelling matches mine. Guarantee. Does anybody remember another word that uses the phonogram G, two-letter G, that's on tomorrow's mastery test? Starts with a V. V. Chris, do you remember? Oh, Arima knows it.
Can I say it?
Mm-hmm.
Vague.
You got it. Good job. Please write vague and vaguely. I saw some people on the spelling quiz switch the G and U so that it basically looked like Vogue. Because the AU, when they're together, they make that aw sound. So make sure it's vague. Sai, what are you using over there?
Its name is like a boogie board. We have like two of them.
Oh. Please write vague and vaguely. It works pretty well for a whiteboard.
And it has a button, and you just have to click the button and it will erase it for you.
Oh, that's nice. Everyone show me vague and vaguely. So far, I see all correct spellings. Oh, I guess the only problem is that it's a little hard to see Sai. Oh, at least from certain angles, it's hard. Now I see it. Shatish, hold it closer, please. Better, thank you. Okay, I know it's kind of hard to remember, but Shatish, we're going to keep that silent final E before adding a consonant suffix, remember? And we still need it for that base word. So vague and vaguely look like this. Very good. Okay. What else did we have for review? Looks like we need incessant. Please write incessant, like, yeah, you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? Incessant. We think to spell incessant. And great job remembering what makes this sound. The first is ks. The other one is a double S. Yes, Tricia?
I thought we could do some words that I'm having trouble on.
You know what, sweetie? I've got a specific list that I go through so that we review every word a certain amount of times. If there are still words that we don't do enough, then I would love for you to do that outside of class time, okay? The next one is Ernest. How do we think to spell this? Ernest, that's right. Earnest. Ernest. The is earthy of early, but it helps to just picture an ear nest. Gross. I bet you guys are going to think of an ear nest every time you see this word now. Ooh. Okay, last but not least, miscellaneous. I bet this is one that Dricia was going to ask for, would be my guess. Miscellaneous. This is one that I would recommend asking your parents to check your spelling of maybe a couple times later today if you're still having a hard time with it. Whoa. Oh, Shatij, not quite. You're close, though. I see so far, though, that Rihanna and Arima have it correct. Great job. Arjun, excellent work. Shatij's, let's see. Oh, almost Shatij. You're just one off. And Krish, I can't see the whole word. It's so long that it's only showing. Oh, yes. Good job. Shatij, you're so close. It's an E. Miscellaneous. And great job, Drishya. Miscellaneous. Excellent job if you spelled this correctly. If you are still having a hard time with this one, I would recommend writing it a couple of times later today so that you are ready for it on the test tomorrow. Maybe you can just write it on a whiteboard and ask your parents, can you check that this is right? Or if they don't know, maybe check your orthography notebook and you can check your own spelling. Okay, that's all for review. You can now take out your binder for our new lesson today. Yes, Arjun?
I have 2 questions. Are we doing the paragraph today?
The paragraph, actually not today.
And how much do you think a house, like a normal, like a 2-story house, like a normal one, or 1-story just normal house, how much do you think that would cost back then?
You mean in Farmer Boy times?
Yeah.
Maybe $10,000 or $15,000, I would guess, because in like early 1900s, so a little later, there were a lot of people who got houses for like 20 or 30,000.
Mm-hmm. Like right now, people would be like, "What? That's so less," because that's like a car.
$10,000 is like cheaper than most cars.
Yeah.
So for a whole house, that would be very cheap. But maybe it would be even less than that. Maybe it's more like 50,000. I mean, not 50, 5,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's just a guess.
But it's very costly. It looks like just a nickel back then is a lot. So they shouldn't put like, right today, a nickel for lemonade it's just a good price.
Oh, you're asking about the nickel. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So a nickel for lemonade might be like $1 or $2 today.
Mm-hmm. That's like that. It doesn't make any sense. For that much money just for a lemonade.
I don't think so either, especially if you could get a whole pig for 50 cents. You can get a pig for 50 cents, but 5 cents for lemonade. That was a ripoff. I agree. Arima?
Has like things got more expensive over time because people are getting richer and then the prices need to go higher?
There are a bunch of different factors, but yeah, that's part of it. Yes, Sai?
In the Farmer Boy times, were there like presidents?
Yes, there were. He was alive around the time of the Civil War, so maybe around the time of actually Abraham Lincoln being president. Yeah. Or either during the time he was president or right before or after. Okay, boys and girls, let's start on the spelling lesson. Our first word for today is, connected to what we were just talking about. Now, people back then in farmer boy times, but also people today, oftentimes don't have the money for a whole house. And so people actually borrow money from a bank and pay off the house over a long time. That's probably what a lot of your parents do. And does anybody know what that's called when you borrow money from the bank for a house specifically? Ahana?
Is it a loan?
It is a loan, but there's a special name for a house loan specifically. Arjun, do you know it?
Wait, is it? It's like if you know Liberty Mutual, they give you put the money there, and then whenever something happens to your house, the money that you put in there you'll get back. I forgot what it's called though.
So borrowing money from the bank for a house specifically is a mortgage. And your parents probably make mortgage payments. Have any of you heard that word? Okay. So mortgage is the loan for a house. Chris, you have heard that?
I couldn't talk of that. It's correct. In Monopoly, there's a thing, you flip a card, there's mortgage, and from the bank you get money.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was a very good connection. So yeah, maybe you've seen this in Monopoly, or if you haven't thought of it before, now you'll know what it is.
That's the mortgage I was.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this mortgage, this word mortgage.
I have heard of.
Sweetie, I need you to stay muted though. I'm sure you've got a good suggestion, but we need to ask permission before we unmute always, remember? We think to spell this word as mortgage. There's a silent T in the first syllable. Can you say mortgage with me? Mortgage. Mortgage, 2 syllables, that's right. First syllable is M or T, 3 sounds. Next syllable, G, A, J, 3 sounds. A says its name because of a silent final E, and J says its second sound because of a silent final E. Pick up your pencil and write mortgage. We lost who? Who was it that we just lost? Krish?
Brianna.
Uh-oh. More internet connection problems.
And also, when we say in Monopoly, we say it says mortgage. Like, could I mortgage this? We really don't say this.
That's right. It ends up being completely silent. Oops. Okay. Mortgage. We think to spell mortgage. Mort-gage. Mortgage. Check that your spelling matches mine. Okay, time for markings. Darshika, could you mark it for us?
We underline the O's.
Good job.
And double underline the T.
Good job.
And underline A, G, and double underline the E.
Perfect.
Job number 3 and 1.
Great job. One more marking is to thinking cap the A, because we say mortgage, kind of an or I sound. It's unstressed. Okay. Great job. Krish?
Isn't there supposed to be a 2 over the G?
Oh, yes, thank you. That second G is the second sound. You're correct. Okay, a mortgage is a noun. Our next word for today, none of our words are connected today. The next word we have is recipe. Would you all say recipe? Recipe. What is a recipe? Saisanov?
A recipe is like an ingredients to make some kind of food.
That's right. It's ingredients and directions for making some sort of food. Recipe. Would you all sound it out with me? Recipe. 3 syllables. Recipe. For the first syllable, res. There's s with a k saying its second sound because there's an I after it. Second syllable, I-E. Now our third syllable, recipe, has unusually an E saying its name and an open syllable. That almost never happens at the end of a word. But this is a French word and it has a different spelling pattern than we would have for many of our other words. Recipe. Would you all pick up your pencil and write recipe? Recipe. Hold it up when you're done. Thank you so much for all of you who are doing that. Saisanov, don't look at your friends' papers. Just think of what it sounds like as you sound out recipe. Okay. S, syllable break. I, syllable break. P, recipe. Excellent job if you spelled it correctly. If you have a mistake, cross it out and rewrite it. And Krish, could you mark the word for us?
And is it okay, or is it okay if I erase because I put the cuss in the actually why does the don't go in the second syllable, because I in front of it makes it say this second sound.
This closes the syllable. I think that's why they place it there. But we do kind of pronounce it recipe. I'm just going with the manual on this one, and I think they're doing this to close off the syllable.
So should I erase it and put the syllable, or should I just mark like X out of it?
I'll have you rewrite it with the syllable breaks like this one.
Okay.
But I totally understand having the C in the second syllable.
So first is basic code. Second is also basic code. No, it's not basic code. Yeah, it's basic code. And the third syllable, we just need to underline the E. And it's a noun.
So I don't know if I missed this, but yeah, 2 on top of the kus. And yeah, underline the E at the end. And as you said, it's a noun. Okay, recipe. And when I just did a quick Google search, they have the syllable break right there as well. So I think that is the right way to do it, even though you do kind of say recipe. So it makes sense to think of it in the second syllable. Okay, boys and girls. Now our next word is connected to Farmer Boy. If you have read the Independence Day chapter already, can somebody guess what instrument I'm thinking of? There is a musical instrument played in Farmer Boy, chapter 16, at the Independence Day celebration. Does anybody have a guess as to what this one might be? Devansh?
The drum?
Good guess, but not a drum.
Was it?
There were drums there. Rat-a-tat-tat is what they sounded like. Or rub-a-dub-dub. Sai, what other instruments were there?
Trumpet?
There was a trumpet, I believe, but that's not it either. Although you're getting closer because This instrument is played by blowing air. But instead of blowing air inside of this instrument, you actually blow air on top of some little holes. Did you figure it out now? Rashi, what is it?
A flute?
You got it. Great job. Flute. Can you all try it looking like a flute? A flutist. You blow air right on top. Actually, I think it's a flautist is the way you say it. You just do a little blowing right on top of the holes. And that's how it makes sound. Oh, do you have a little flute right there, Ahana? That's lovely. You look like excellent flautists. Okay, let's say the word flute. Flute. One syllable. What sounds do you hear in that syllable? T. More sounds. Ooh is saying its nickname here because of a silent final E, job 1. Pick up your pencil and write flute. My 8:30 class was talking about actually there being an Indian god who plays the flute. Who's known for that?
Krishna.
Krishna, that's right. And they were telling me some of the Krishna stories. It was Arshab who knew a lot about Krishna. Krish, are you named after Krishna?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So is that your full name?
No, my name is half of Krishna. My name is Krish and Krishna. Krishna, it's only the not thing out.
Oh,
Krishna
is that Krishna that you have a picture of? Very cool. I heard that Krishna steals people's butter. Is that right?
Yeah. It's just named after. No.
He loves
Arjun?
butter.
Yeah, I usually be called as Krishna in the house because I love to get all the butter out.
I know why Arshab knows so much because me and him used to go to this class where the kids could tell stories, and then there was kind of these like poem kind of things.
Uh-huh.
Is it Monica?
And I think Ahana also used to go. And I don't think else in this class used to go. Oh no, Arima also used to go. And then you could learn everything there. I think that's why he knew so.
Very cool. Okay, let's keep ourselves muted for now. I'm going to go ahead and go over the correct spelling of flute. O-U-T, silent final E. Check that your spelling matches mine. Okay, 4 markings. It's just A-U-U-U, saying its nickname because of a silent final E, job 1. And a flute is a noun. Okay, boys and girls, our next word for today is cauliflower. Can you all say cauliflower? Oh, actually, I've got the order of those wrong, but that's okay. Cauliflower. Does anybody like cauliflower? I see thumbs up or sideways. It looks like broccoli, but it's white. I don't really care for it raw, but it's pretty nice when it's roasted, like baked in the oven. I think that's yummy. Yes, Darshika?
Today I'm going to eat cauliflower roasted.
Oh my goodness. Well, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so for cauliflower, the word flower is in it. The last 2 syllables are spelled just like flower because it kind of does look like a flower. Can you all say cauliflower with me? Cauliflower. 4 syllables. Cauliflower. First syllable is, let me check if the ol is in the syllable. Nope. First syllable, ka, aw. We're going to use aw, but we do not use at the end of English words. Next, l-I, basic code, cauliflower. Next, flow, f-l-ow, ow-o, cow in the snow. And finally, the earth, her, cauliflower. Please pick up your pencil and write it. Cauliflower. Yes, Tricia?
We have recipe and we have cauliflower. So it could be like a recipe for cauliflower.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, what if it was like Valentine's Day and someone just gave a rose for someone? No, a flower for someone, and the flower was a cauliflower.
That would be fairly disappointing unless you love cauliflower. Okay, I, syllable break, ow, syllable break, cauliflower. Arjun, would you mark the word for us?
Hi, and all words are nouns today.
So far, yep.
You underline AU.
That's right. We call it that we do not use at the end of English words.
the end of English words. And then second syllable, we don't have anything. In the third syllable, ow, cow in the snow, you underline it, and then third syllable earlier of her, you underline.
Great, and it's another noun. And guess what we have next? Another noun. Our last word for today's lesson is chandelier. Ooh la la. Who has a chandelier in their home, maybe? A light fixture that hangs down from the ceiling. Oftentimes, they are kind of fancy looking. And a long time ago, they used to have real candles sitting on this chandelier as it hung. Nice, Adarsh. Yeah, that's kind of a version of a chandelier. Saisanov?
I have like a chandelier in my in the kitchen, but those big chandeliers with those silver things, they're kind of like big for wealthy people.
Some of the chandeliers are very fancy and expensive, but not all chandeliers are that way. Oh, nice, Arjun. Yeah, in the dining room, that's a nice example of a chandelier. Or maybe it's an office, I can't tell. Very nice. Is that the new house, Arjun?
Yeah, that's not the dining room.
It's an office?
Kind of.
Arima?
We used to have like on our old house, we used to have like a chandelier that I don't know if it was fake or because it was like made out of these like glass like thingies, like they were shaped like this, and they would put it in like big circles, and and then there was one light in the middle of it, and it was like not like the lights that hang, like it was like kind of fancy-ish one. Except once I was throwing my stuffed animal around and I kind of accidentally lost it up there because I threw it too high.
Oh my goodness. So here's some chandeliers, maybe similar to what you're talking about. Fancy crystal ones. But as you can see, they're all a little bit different. But once again, the older ones would have these candles. That's a light bulb, obviously. They used to have real candles hanging in them. Okay, so chandelier is a French word. The sh sound is chuk, sh. Could you all sound it out with me? Chandelier. 3 syllables. First syllable, sh, n, 3 sounds with chuk, sh, saying its third sound. Next, d, chande, basic code. And finally, l, e, r, Chandelier. We're going to use E-I, piece of pie, for that E sound. Please pick up your pencil and write chandelier. 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 Sh, syllable break. D, syllable break. L, e, Chandelier. Check that your spelling matches mine. And make corrections if needed. Cross it out and rewrite it. Okay, Saisanov, would you like to mark it for us?
Okay, so we underline the and then put a 3 on top. I'm not sure if this is right, but do we put a 2 on top of the E?
We're going to put just a thinking cap on top of the E.
Okay, that's right. That was my second guess. And then E-I, piece of pie, is underlined.
Excellent. Yep, that's all of them.
And that's a noun because it's something.
That's right, it's a thing. So we're going to put an in next to it for noun. Okay, let's go ahead and write them in cursive now. Mortgage, recipe, flute, cauliflower, and chandelier. Yes, Rihanna?
Is it on purpose that it's all nouns?
You know, sometimes it works out that way. I don't know if it's on purpose or not. Mortgage, recipe, flute, cauliflower, and chandelier. Boys and girls, once you're done with all of the cursive words, please hold up your paper so I can see it. Write in your very best cursive. Excellent for those of you I'm seeing so far. Hold it close to the camera if you can. Okay, boys and girls, we are going to not write a paragraph this week because actually you all are a day ahead of the 8:30 group in your paragraphs. And so we are going to instead take a little time to go over some ACT Aspire kind of questions so that you can see what you are going to expect on the test, which is coming up. Remember, after spring break, it's not going to be immediately after you get back from spring break. It'll be a week of normal school and then ACT Aspire.
I did some review.
Very nice. Okay, I'm going to go through some. We cannot unmute ourselves without permission, Darshika. That happens for you a lot, sweetie. I need you to work on that, okay? It's going to be the Monday and Tuesday, not right after spring break, but the week after that. Okay? Since it's grammar time, let's go ahead and look at the English test. You are going to have 5 tests for ACT Aspire over 2 days. On those days, you will not have any other schoolwork. You will come to school from about 8 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock. You're going to test in the cafeteria, and it's going to be the 11:30 class and the 8:30 class. You'll have 5 subjects. Now, who remembers what the 4 subjects are for MAP? Rihanna?
Math, history, science, and grammar.
So there's actually no history test for MAP, and there's no history test for ACT Aspire. The only one you're missing is reading. So there's math, reading, science, and English grammar. You're going to have all 4 of those for ACT Aspire as well. Plus, you will have 1 extra test, and that is on writing, where you will actually write a paragraph. Okay, so this one that I'm showing you right now is grade 3 English. It's going to be focused on grammar. So these are just some sample questions. I'll share this with your parents if you wanted to do a little extra practice, but there's not very many practice questions. It's not really to help you study. It's just so you know what kind of format you'll have for the questions, okay? Okay, so 15 questions. As you can see, it has 2 hours up there. This one is a few years old. It's the newest one that's available for practice. So it may look a little different for you on the test that you'll have, but it's kind of like this, pretty similar to MAP. First of all, just to go over the format up here, there's a couple of different things that you are able to do, like a pointer to actually choose the right answer, and an answer eliminator, so that if you know one is wrong, you can cross it out. There's also bookmark, which means that if you come to a question and you're not sure about it, you could bookmark it so that if you have extra time after the test is over, or sorry, after you're done with all the other questions, you can go back to it. And review helps you to see which ones, the yellow means you haven't answered them yet, and then it would let you see if you've bookmarked one. So that shows bookmark for question 1 so that you would be able to go back to it. And then this takes you through the questions. So here is an example of a grammar question that you might have. Arjun, would you read the question and the responses?
Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I visited the entire thing.
Yes. Oh, wait, sorry, not from here, over here, the question.
Yesterday, I visited my Aunt Joanne, who lives in Minnesota. She invited me to walk with her through the woods. I didn't, so this is actually supposed to change to no. What change should be made to the highlighted word? No change, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't know what to say. I love spelling, that doesn't make any sense.
So yes, the right word to replace new would be no. So does that part make sense? Okay. I would encourage you to sort of like, obviously we'll be in a room with lots of other people, but you can even read it aloud and ask yourself, think through, what is the word that makes the most sense? So you could try out, I didn't knowing what to say, I didn't known what to say, or I didn't know what to say. to help you with that. Okay, going to the next question. We've got new highlighted sections, but you see these ones are underlined. You could read the whole thing first before you answer any questions, but you also could just read the question and then go straight to what they're asking about. And that's what I would do if I were you. So this above the woods towered for is what is highlighted. Kshitij, would you read the question on the right? This whole section, what do we need to do?
The highlighted words in the essay may or may not be correct. Drag the word choices into the box to correctly complete the sentence. Choices may be used more than once or not at all.
So we would drag some words over there. Says we could use possibly some more than once or not at all. There's only 2 spots. Now, Kshitij, read through this sentence and think of what word should go in the blank.
I love spending time with my aunt, but the trees blank the words. Under the words? No.
So let's
above
try
the
out
words?
several different ones. Would it be the trees above the woods, the trees for the woods, the trees in the woods, or the trees under the woods? Which preposition makes the most sense?
Most likely in.
I would agree. Who agrees with Kshitij? The trees in the woods does make the most sense.
Under the woods means out of the earth or in the soil?
Yeah, we would just say the trees are in the woods. And I would encourage you once again to even read it out loud if that helps you. The trees in the woods.
Words to word.
So we would move it over. Just like that.
So let's finish.
Now,
But
towered blanked me and seemed a little
the
scary.
words towered blank me and seemed a little.
Do you know what towered means?
No.
Rashi, can you help out with that one?
It means it's like a tree above you. Like it's like really high and like the leaves are towering above you, and that's the answer actually.
Above. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, so towering means it's so tall. And that verb, towered, means it's like way above you. So above makes the most sense there. So we changed it up from that highlighted part. And then I would encourage you to read it again and see if it makes sense. Kshitij, would you read it with our words and see if it makes sense?
I love spending time with my aunt, but the trees in the woods towered above me and seemed a little scary.
Very good.
So another easy way to do it is press above and press it on the box you want it to be in.
I know that works for map. Let's see if it works here. In. Let's see if I tried to change it.
Oh.
It looks like you can't do that. It does work for map, but it looks like this one you would have to drag.
Oh.
Now, here's an interesting one. It says, if the writer took out the highlighted words, the sentence would lose detail about which of the following: why the pile has been built in the water, where the pile is located in the woods, what the pile is made up of, and how large the pile is. Now, let's read what the highlighted words are and think through what are they doing. And it probably would be helpful to read the whole paragraph. Krish, can you read the paragraph for us?
Okay. We walked beside a creek before we stopped to rest beside a pond. Aunt Joanne pointed out a big pile of sticks and tree trunks in the water. It was called a dam and was built by beavers.
I think you skipped a line. The pile divided.
Oh yeah, the pile divided creek and the pond.
And Joanne told me the pile was called a dam and was builded by beavers.
Okay, now the highlighted part of a big pile of sticks and tree trunks in the water, if that was taken out altogether, what would we lose from this paragraph? Devansh, think through, what are those highlighted words doing for us?
Is it my turn or should it?
Oh, actually, yeah, I'll have Krish do it since he hasn't actually answered the question. He was just reading.
Okay, so it says, and Joanna point out a big pile. So our questions are, why the pile has been built in the water? Where the pile is? What?
Does of sticks and tree trunks in the water tell us why it was there?
No.
So we could actually use the answer eliminator and cross that out if we know it's wrong. Now, what about this next one?
I think it's B, where the pile is located.
So picture what's happening. We walked beside a creek before we stopped to rest beside a pond. Aunt Joan pointed out a big pile of sticks and tree trunks in the water. The pile divided the creek and the pond. Does that tell us where it is located in the woods, what the pile is made up of, or how large the pile is? Think of just the highlighted part. It's a pile of sticks and tree trunks in the water. Which one makes the most sense?
It's not how large the pile is. It's not that one.
Yep, we can eliminate that one. So it's up to where the pile is located or what it's made of. Think about what's happening here, Krish. It says it's a pile of sticks and tree trunks in the water. Does sticks and tree trunks tell us where it is or what it's made of?
It tells like what it's made of.
That's right. So you might have to read through these a couple of times to really think, what is this telling me? And make a mental picture. Whenever you're reading, you should have a mental picture, and that could help you too.
Okay.
Great job. Okay, let's try another one, and then we might switch to one of the other tests. Okay, some of you probably noticed this when Krish was reading it out loud. Adarsh? Stay with us, bud, Adarsh. Okay, I'll have Drishya help with this one instead.
Okay, so it says the pile divided the creek and the pond. Wait, no, I'll start from the beginning with the paragraph. We walked beside a creek.
I'd like you actually to just read this section here. Can you read the question and the answer options?
What change, if any, should be made to the highlighted word?
So let's just go from the question straight to the highlighted word. What's the
highlighted
word?
Builded. And
now,
builded by beavers doesn't make sense.
Builded is not even a proper word. What should it be instead?
Builted wouldn't work because that's not a word either.
Good job.
Build would mean that they're going to build it, but it was already there, which means it's not it. And builded isn't a word, so we know it's not no change. So it has to be built.
Very good. Who agrees with Drishya? Yeah, absolutely. Great job. Okay, let's switch from that English test now to a different one. Let's switch over to math. This one has only 12 questions, and it's just an example of the types of questions you might see, okay? It says here, Juliana divided the part of a number line from 0 to 1 into sections of equal length. I can see here that it's a fraction question. Now, we haven't really covered fractions so far. It's okay if you have to guess on units that maybe we haven't covered yet. But I know many of you already know fractions pretty well. Now it says she plotted M on the number line as shown below. Now one of the following circles is shaded to represent a fraction that is equivalent to the number represented by point M. Which one? Now for this, we would want to see what is the fraction. Let's see how many parts there are on the number line. Can you count it up, making sure we stop at 1? Arima?
I think there's starting from 0. Do we start from 0 or the one after 0?
So we would count like this: 1, 2, and then we end at the next whole number.
So we do 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's on the third of the 4 lines, right?
So it's,
now let's see if there's a fraction that's 3/4.
I see one.
So C kind of looks like it, doesn't it? But do you see a problem with it?
It's not even?
Exactly. It is not equal groups. So that's actually not even showing 3/4, even though it is 3 out of 4 that are shaded. They're not equal. So that's not going to work. We can actually eliminate that.
I think I know what we're doing.
Okay.
I think I know which one. Wait.
Okay, which one do you think it is? There's this one.
I think we're doing 6/8. Wait.
Good thought. Yeah, it might be double. It might be 6/8. Is this one 6/8? Looks like it's 8/10.
Yeah.
It might help you, for those of you who don't know fractions, equivalent fractions, you could maybe eliminate this one altogether because you know that's a less than half fraction. I know that's less than half that's shaded, so it's definitely not the same as this one. We've got these options as well, though.
I'm thinking it might be number D, but it looks like it isn't, because 6/8, there should be only 2 gaps. One on both are 4.
Yeah, so it maybe is not 6/8. It might be even bigger than that.
I think it's 9/12.
Good, 9/12 would also be equivalent. You're right. Which of these is 9/12?
Number E.
Good. E. E has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then another 3 that are unshaded. So 9/12 is also equivalent to 3/4. If you don't know that yet, it's okay. This might be one that you end up guessing on because we haven't covered that. But just for a brief little overview, 3/4, if you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, it's going to tell you an equivalent fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. So that's why Arima said 6/8 is equivalent. But what if we multiply the numerator and denominator by 3? What do we get instead as the equivalent fraction? Devansh?
It would be 9/12.
Good, 9/12. So we're going to get into this in our fraction unit, but that's just a quick little overview. If you are getting questions like that on the ACT Aspire test, it's okay. Don't feel frustrated about like, oh, I don't know that one yet. It is totally okay. You know, the ACT Aspire test is testing you on things for the whole 3rd grade year, even though your 3rd grade year isn't over. So just try your best. It's just a way for them to see about what your level is. Okay, let's do one more math question and then we're going to be done for today, but we'll keep reviewing some things like this so that you can feel really good about the test coming up. Okay, let's do one more question. Could I have maybe Shatij, actually Shatij has helped with one. Darshika, can you read this one for us?
Yes, Miss Gardner. After Cammy gets out of bed in the morning, she completes several activities to get ready for school. The list below shows the numbers of minutes she needs to complete each of these activities. 30 minutes, brush teeth, shower, and get dressed. 10 minutes, eat breakfast. 30 minutes, car ride to school. Cammy must be at school by 8 a.m. What is the latest time Cammy can get out of bed, complete her all activities, and still get to school on time? Explain why your answer is correct.
So we don't usually do a full explanation. Occasionally we'll do those math journal pages in our workbook that we explain. Try your best on this, but basically we know, and put yourself in the shoes here. There's all of those things you need to do, and you've got to be at school by 8 o'clock. So we're going to basically work backwards. So if 8 o'clock is when you have to be at school, and it takes 30 minutes and another 10 minutes and another 30 minutes to do all those things, how early do you have to wake up? Arjun, do you know how to do this kind of problem?
So you do 8 a.m. minus 30. So you can either do this. 30 plus 30 is 60. And then it's 70. And then 8 a.m. So you can do 800 minus 70.
Well, don't do 800 though, because there are 60 minutes in an hour, and then you'll be subtracting 100.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a good thought. No, it's okay. So if there's 60 minutes in an hour, this is what I would do if I were you.
Oh, 710.
30 and 30 are 60 minutes. So that's 1 hour just with those two. So that means 7 o'clock. But then it's going to be 10 minutes before 7 o'clock, since there's still that 10 more minutes. What's 10 minutes before 7 o'clock? Go ahead, Arjun. You can help with that one too.
6:50.
Good. 6:50 would be 10 minutes before 7 o'clock. Does that make sense, everyone?
Now for me it does.
Okay, so you might say something like this. The latest Cammy can get up is 6:50. That's a colon 50 a.m. I know this because I subtracted 60 minutes and 10 minutes from 8 o'clock a.m. Okay, something like that. You could explain in a different way, but that's basically what we did. We subtracted 1 hour and then an extra 10 minutes from 8 a.m. Okay, questions, only time for a couple questions, and then we are going to be done with this for today, but I will share this with your parents so that if you want to do a little extra practice, you can do that before you have your test. Krish?
Like my mom said that like if you get more than 85%, it's a good mark.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't feel like, oh, I've got to get 100%, because you're going to be tested on things you've never learned before. So don't picture this test as the same sort of test that you would have in school where you've covered the information completely. There's an expectation that you're not going to know all of this information yet.
And also, like if we like in the test, if we get it like over 85%, my mom said that we get a medal.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
That's what Google says.
Saisanov?
I have a question. It's like I mean, like I forgot.
Okay. Everyone take out your orthography notebooks. And as you do so, I'm going to get the last question from Rashi.
I still don't get it for the last question.
Do you know how 60 minutes are in 1 hour?
Yeah.
So 8 o'clock in the morning, 60 minutes before that would be 7 o'clock in the morning, right?
Uh-huh.
And then what's 10 minutes before 7 o'clock in the morning?
Is 6:50.
Exactly. So we're basically working backwards. Imagine that you have to be at school at 8 o'clock and you've got a few different things you have to do before you get to 8 o'clock. You're trying to think of what is the latest I can get up and still be at school at 8 o'clock.
Oh, I
So you're
get
just
it.
working backwards.
I get it.
Okay. Boys and girls, we are going to write our words in orthography on page 59. And then I have one place that I want us to write as well. So on page 59, the first word should be mortgage. Please write mortgage. We're a little late starting math, but it's going to be a quick and easy lesson today, so it's okay.
Miss Garner.
Krish, make sure you raise your hand before you speak up. Next word is recipe. And then I ended up switching these on accident for you. You can write cauliflower and then flute. If you already wrote them in the opposite order, it's okay. You don't have to change it. It doesn't matter what order these are in. And then finally, chandelier. So mortgage, recipe, cauliflower, flute, chandelier. Krish, what's your question?
Actually, 6:50 is. I actually wake up at 6:55 or 6:50. Usually, when we have in-person class.
Oh, well, what are the odds? Okay, Arjun?
Is it okay if I go off topic?
What is it about? The ACT Aspire test?
No. In Charlotte, in Concord, it actually says there might be a tornado storm for some reason.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
We
if you go
have
to the
that
weather forecast.
There was a watch in Arkansas too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it must be going across the country.
For some reason. Even yesterday they predicted, and today the same thing.
So Arjun, do you know if you'll be back in Arkansas for the ACT Aspire test?
Yeah, I will for now.
Okay.
No.
Sounds good. Arima?
Another parent drops you off. Doesn't have to be your parents.
No, it does not have to be your parents.
Okay, because I'm gonna go to Sid's house to stay there for 2 nights.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yes, Arima?
Tornado alley weather in spring is really weird because yesterday it started raining in the morning and then it stopped suddenly and then it started raining suddenly again.
I know, it was definitely weird yesterday.
And I think in 2019 on April 30th there was like 2 tornadoes in Arkansas and 4 tornadoes in Oklahoma at the same day.
Whoa. Yeah, spring is pretty common for tornadoes. Okay, boys and girls, I need you on page 32 in your orthography notebook. We're going to be routinely adding a little extra to this comma and other punctuation page as we're writing today about some of the uses for a comma. Now, the first use of a comma is to separate words in a series. Now, it says 2 or more, but it's actually 3 or more. So I'm crossing out 2 and writing 3. And as a sentence that shows this as an example, I have Emma, Alina, and Ahana have birthdays in March. If it was just Emma and Alina have birthdays in March, you don't need a comma. But if it's 3 or more, you do. Emma, Alina, and Ahana have birthdays in March. So please write this as the example on page 32. That's the only place we're going to write in other than the back of the notebook. Commas to separate words in a series. We have to have it before the conjunction, just like in compound sentences, there's a comma before the conjunction. We don't ever have it after the conjunction. Nice job, Krish. Okay. That is all we're going to write today. We are going to write a little bit more tomorrow and the next week when we get back from spring break. Yes, Krish?
Like sometimes don't people commas like to like stop and then read the next sentence?
We have commas in compound sentences, and we do pause, but we don't put a comma just in order to have a pause. That is kind of how we view it with reading, though, because when you read a comma, you have to like just take a little breath, take a pause when you see it. But there are some specific rules for why we use commas, and that's what we're going to be filling this chart out with. Some of those reasons for commas. Okay, at this time, we are going to start math, and it's going to be a short lesson today because we're still going to continue with length, and we have only one customary length left, and that is the longest length, a mile. Longest on Earth, that is. And space we measure with light years, and those are longer. But on Earth, a mile is the longest customary length for measuring. Who remembers how many feet are in 1 mile? Arima?
It's in the 5,000s, right? Or is it in the
Yes,
6,000?
it is. It's in the 5,000 range.
Is it 5,680?
Oh, so close. Arjun?
5,660.
5,280.
Yes, so close, Arima. 5,280. Good job doing that off the top of your head. So 5,280 feet in 1 mile. What is that in yards? How many yards are in 1 mile? Tricia?
1,700 something.
1,700.
60?
Side, do you remember?
Tricia said it. 1,000.
Oh, okay. Well, yep, you got it, Side.
1,000.
So we are going to look at that in our book today. And we're also going to get a little head start on tomorrow's lesson even, because tomorrow, my goal is that we'll do the workbook pages completely in class together so that you don't have any homework in math tomorrow. Get a little head start on your spring break. Okay, you should have this in your notes already. 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. It's also equal to 5,280 feet. Miles are used for measuring, for example, a distance that you might drive, walk, or ride a bike. In this picture, the school is 2 miles from the post office and 5 miles from the beach. It says, is the school about 3,500 yards from the post office? Would you say that's a good estimate, 3,500 yards? Yeah, that's about double 1,760. And then it says, yes, the post office is also about 10,000 feet. Because we could estimate that 1 mile is about 5,000 feet. That's an estimate. And double that would be 10,000 feet. And these girls say, is the school about 5,000 yards from the beach? Is that right? 5,000 yards? No. It's about 3,500 yards. She says, this girl looks very concerned. She says, no, it's further than 5,000 yards away. It is 5 miles. Oh, sorry, I was also, 3,500 is this amount, 3,500 yards. For 5 miles, she says, no, it's further than 5,000 yards away. It is 5 miles, so that's about 8,800 yards away. You could round up 1,760 yards to about 2,000 yards. If there's about 2,000 yards in 1 mile, that's going to be much closer to 10,000 yards altogether. Now, helicopters and planes, they fly about 1 mile up from the ground at a height of 5,257 feet. That's pretty close to 5,280, right? It's about a mile. It's pretty close. Okay, and let's put that into practice with right here. Your work for today is actually just going to be kind of reviewing inches, feet, and yards in miles. The length of 2 footballs, which one would it be? About 2 inches, feet, yards, or miles? Size enough?
A football, right?
Yes, a football, not a football field.
Okay, that might be like a inch. That may be in inches.
Do you see this? The length of 2 footballs is about 2.
Oh, yards.
Not yards. Think of
I
how
said-
big a football is. A football might be about the size of this book, the length of the book.
Then it must be like a foot.
I would say 2 feet. Remember how we talked about 1 football is about 1 foot, like the length of this book? Pretty similar. Remember that 1 yard is 3 feet. So it's like the height of a kindergartner. So 2 footballs, is that going to be shorter than a kindergartner? Yeah. And definitely shorter than 2 miles. Okay, next one. The distance a person might travel to school is about what? Would it be 2 inches, 2 feet, 2 yards, or 2 miles? What is it most likely to be? Ahana?
Miles?
Yeah, most likely 2 miles. Okay, boys and girls, let's get started now on our next customary measurement. get a little head start on tomorrow's lesson. We are going to be spending some time talking about weight. And there are three main ways that we measure weight in the customary measurement. Ounces is for the smallest things. Pounds we would use for something a little heavier. And then tons are for the heaviest items. For food, you might measure the weight of food in ounces. You would measure the weight of like yourself in pounds, and you'd measure the weight of like an elephant or a car in tons. Okay, so this shows us a scale that measures things in ounces. It says an ounce. Actually, could I have Rashi read this pink box for us?
Okay. So you mean the part where it says the ounce?
Yes.
Okay, the ounce is a standard customary unit of weight. It is used for measuring light objects. OZ stands for ounce. This is a scale that measures light objects in ounces.
So as you can see here, it goes from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 ounces. It goes up to 16 ounces because that's how many ounces are in 1 pound.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Rashi, can you read this part too?
Okay. The scale shows the weight of one slice of bread. The weight of the slice of bread is about 1 ounce.
Excellent. So yes, keep going.
The balance shows the weight of some carrots.
Nice. Can you count up how many ounces there are? Everyone help her out. How many ounces do you see?
8.
Good. This is what they call a balance, but it's actually often called a scale as well. And have you all seen these kind of scales before where basically it's a way of determining how heavy something is by comparing to something else?
Yeah, so actually, there's a different type of one that's like just like that, but it's like a big long metal stick thing, and then there's like 2 chains, and it has like these bowl things, and then you put things, and yeah, like that's the one.
Oh, very cool. So as you can see here, it says that 1 slice of bread is about 1 ounce. That's a good way of just having a visual of how much an ounce is, about a slice of bread. Can you imagine that? Maybe later on today, you can hold up a piece of bread from your kitchen. Mm-hmm. That's about 1 ounce. Also about 1 ounce would be a little handful of grapes. 5 grapes here. That's about 1 ounce. Krish?
Actually, there's what was it? What was my question?
Well, yeah, you had your hand up.
Yeah, because the scale is also similar to a seesaw.
It does look like a seesaw, yeah.
If someone is way more if someone has more pounds or more weight on one of the seats and the other has light, it means the lighter person goes up and they go down.
That's a great way to think of it. It's the same type of device. Okay, now Adarsh, this scale shows us same thing. All the red lines are 1 ounce, and it goes all the way up to 16 ounces or 1 pound. The little black line is for half an ounce. We actually don't have anything smaller than an ounce, like milligrams. We don't have anything like that. So we would just say fractions of an ounce for anything smaller. Now, Adarsh, how much is the bunch of grapes that you see here? So 5 little grapes were about 1 ounce. What about a bunch of grapes?
6 ounces.
Yep, it's right at 6 ounces. Good job. Now, because we don't have anything smaller than an ounce, we're going to use estimation pretty often, just like we did with inches. So like this shows a bunch of pencils and it's between, so if this is 2, let me come a little closer. If this is 2, this is 4, that means this is 3 ounces. And the line is between 3 and 4 ounces. To me, it looks like the line is a little closer to the 3 than the 4. And that's what they're saying here as well, that it's a little closer to the 3. So it says the pencils weigh more than 3 ounces, but less than 4 ounces. So we could say they weigh about 3 ounces. Okay, so we'll use estimation if you're between ounces. You're actually not going to have to use fractions, even though that would be more precise. Rihanna, could you read this section here about the cherries?
Cherries weigh about...
Sorry, let me get, yeah, right there.
The cherries weigh more than 9 ounces, but less than 10 ounces.
Okay. But she says it's nearer to the 10-ounce mark. Can you continue?
The cherries weigh about 10 ounces. The bag of mushrooms weigh more
I'll
than...
stop you there for a second. So that's the whole thing about the cherries. So you can round up like normal rounding, but as this is saying, you're kind of determining which one it's closer to. It seems like it's closer to the 10 than the 9. Don't you agree with that? So we can round to 10, but we have to make sure we use the word about if it's not exact. Okay, let's continue with the mushrooms now. Rihanna, you can keep going.
The bag of mushrooms weigh more than 8 ounces, but less than 9 ounces. They're at the halfway mark between 8 ounces and 9 ounces. The bag of mushrooms weigh about 9 ounces.
So it's about halfway between, but we can just round up to 9. And finally, this one here. Arima, could you read this section on the slice of bread and the apple?
Yeah, like if we're doing estimations, it isn't like if the one's place like, or it could be like points, like if it's always 5 and like the last number is 5, we make it higher, right?
That's right. We, in general, if it's halfway, we always round up. But in this one, it's a little hard to tell, but they occasionally go down when it's like this one. And this was an example of, it looks like it's about halfway, but it's actually a little less.
Yeah.
So either 3 or 4 would be correct for this one. Don't worry too much about that, because they're kind of having you guess, is it a little closer to 3, a little closer to 4? But when in doubt, Arima, just like you're talking about, round up, because that's the typical rounding rule.
Okay, yeah. Should I read that one?
Yes, now you can read this.
You can use the slice of bread. I can't see the entire thing. Can you go a little up? Thanks. You can, a slice of bread weighs about 1 ounce. You can use a slice of bread to estimate the weights of other lighter objects. And should I read the comment?
Yes.
1 slice of bread weighs about 1 ounce. 4 slices of bread weighs about 4 ounces. And then I put the apple as 4 ounces.
Good. So if it is about 4 slices of bread, that's about 4 ounces. We'll get into this more tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a lesson on weight as well. We'll write about the different types of ounces, pounds, and tons that we use for measuring. But I wanted to get a little head start because I want us to do the workbook pages in class tomorrow. so that you don't have those to do for homework. Okay, now your homework pages for today are just a little bit about miles, but it's actually just a review of all of the measurements of length in the customary system. You're going to do pages 125 to 126. You can take them out now to look over with me. Okay, so for this one, we have 3 rulers, which is 1 yard, lined up in comparison to a bunch of items. I would recommend for this one, if you've got a ruler, actually like drawing a line down to get a better sense of where the line is or where we're comparing. So that gives us a nice straight line to compare 1 yard. And we're going to find which ones are less than 1 yard to write in the little box here in the chart. Which ones are almost exactly 1 yard. It doesn't have to totally touch, but which ones are almost exactly 1 yard, and then which ones are more than 1 yard. For example, the first item is a piece of yarn. Would you say that's less than 1 yard exactly or more than 1 yard? Where do you think we should sort it? Sai?
Which one?
The piece of yarn right here. Oh, sorry.
What?
You probably can't see that very well. Right here, a piece of yarn.
I think we should put it in.
Is that a Google chat on your computer, Sai?
Yeah.
I need you to exit out of that, bud. You should not be doing any Google chat.
I wasn't, but it comes all the time.
Okay, you can probably ask your parents about stopping notifications on it so it doesn't distract you. Okay, what do you say it's less than a foot? Or sorry, less than 1 yard? It is exactly 1 yard or more than 1 yard. That piece of yarn.
Less than 1 yard.
Well, it's barely below it, but it's almost lined up with that 1 yard. So I would say that one is just 1 yard.
Okay.
Okay, so we would put, you can just write yarn even in the box to say it's an object that is 1 yard long. And you see the difference between that and this one, which is like several inches shorter. I would put that one in the less than 1 yard category. And then the thing that looks like a giant Band-Aid is actually a pool float. That one obviously is quite a bit less as well. Okay, the other part of your homework for today, as you can see here, we've got a little map with Camp Evergreen, Camp Birch, Camp Maple, and it asks about the distance between different camps. It says, what's the difference between Camp Evergreen and Camp Birch? Now it says 1,760 yards, but you need to answer in miles. How many miles is that? That's right, just one. So for some of these, you'll need to convert, but it won't require that much math to do it. But notice that like 5,170 feet, is that pretty close to the 5,280 feet that make 1 mile? Is it pretty close? I would say yes, that is within a good estimate. So that is about 1 mile. It's definitely closer to 1 mile than 0 miles, right? So keep that in mind with this one. 107 feet is about how many yards. You could do 107 divided by 3 to figure that one out, because remember that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So keep that in mind with those ones. That is all you'll be doing for your homework today. I know you guys are really good at this customary length, so it's probably getting a little bit boring, but we will continue on and we're going to get to better challenging things pretty soon. I know Ahana's ready for that. Lots of you are ready for a challenge, so we'll get to that very soon. Okay, boys and girls, that's all for today's class. I'll have just my reading group stay with me.